Now, friends, the state of Illinois has multiple programs in place to help residents, including a $1.8 billion relief plan that was recently signed into law. The plan for 2023 suspends the state's grocery tax for a year and freezes the state gas tax for 6 months. Individual taxpayers making under $200,000 and those married filing jointly with income less than $400,000 will receive a tax rebate of $50 per person and $100 per child for up to 3 children. A new free gas and public transit card program is also set to ease the rising price of gas at the gas pump for some Chicago residents. During a meeting, a vote is slated to take place on whether or not they should approve a new initiative for stimulus checks. So folks, I do want to see President Biden send out more stimulus checks in the coming days. If you guys agree, tell me in the comments below.
It was held earlier today, I should say. The Senate should confirm and without delay, without excuse, send the nomination to my desk. It's time for action. We're here today for the same purpose, to come together and say enough, to act. We must. Vice President Harris and members of the cabinet, members of the Congress, civil rights leaders, law enforcement officers and officials, distinguished guests, especially the families missing a piece of their soul.
The House's Democratic majority overcame some internal opposition to pass legislation addressing high gas prices by cracking down on possible price gouging from oil companies. The Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act, introduced by Democratic representatives, would give the president the authority to issue an emergency proclamation that would make it unlawful for companies to increase fuel prices to excessive levels. It would also expand the power of the FTC to investigate alleged price gouging in the industry and would direct any penalties toward funding weatherization and low-income energy assistance. During a hearing, Representative Frank Pallone, the chair of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, said the problem is big oil is keeping supply low. Prices and profits stay high, and now I think that when the market is broken, that's when Congress has to step in to protect the American consumers, and that's what this bill does. Oil executives previously testified before Congress to address concerns about their prices, but insisted it was the result of larger forces like supply and demand. The price gouging legislation faced stiff opposition from Republicans, who blamed the Biden administration's policies, including social spending, for inflation. Republicans renewed calls for more domestic energy production as well. Democratic Representative Murphy broke with her party to join conservatives in voting against the measure, expressing concerns it did not address the root of the price increases. The internal revolt came as Democrats are hoping to alleviate pain at the pump for consumers ahead of a consequential midterm election season. Lawmakers had discussed introducing other legislation to lower gas prices, such as measures codifying a federal gas tax holiday. Drivers across Florida may also see relief for their wallets while fueling at the gas pump. But it might not come until October. A month-long gas tax break is being discussed as part of the state's budget, currently under the conference committee in the legislature. A final vote is expected to be in the coming days, and currently the gas tax in Florida is 26.5 cents a gallon. In order to suspend that fee for a month, $200 million of federal stimulus will be transferred to areas funded by gas tax revenue in order to offset losing the revenue for the month. So folks, tell me in the comments down below, should President Biden do a better job in sending out stimulus checks? The Biden administration announced last week the CPI was due to rising gas prices in March, and the Biden administration had been expecting a bad CPI number. Jen Psaki said yesterday, "We expect March CPI headline inflation to be extraordinary due to the crisis." And Biden said, "I'm doing everything within my power by executive orders to bring down the price and address the crisis price hikes. In fact, we've already made progress since March. Inflation data was collected." Biden has noted that the authorization of E15 gasoline in the country will help some people, even if it's an extra $1 or $2 in the pockets when they fill up their gas. President Biden will label his American Rescue Plan as one of the brighter points of his first term in office, with it providing American families with an element of fiscal relief during the difficult times. One part of the rescue plan was the Homeowner Stimulus Relief Program, which was designed to help families continue to pay their mortgages, but at a reduced rate while employment was hugely impacted by the crisis. There are several programs that are providing relief right now to homeowners. Homeowners have experienced income loss in the course of the crisis, and while some have recovered from the events over the past 2 years, other homeowners might still be struggling to keep up with their housing payments, especially in light of recent inflation. The good news is that there's still relief available for homeowners who are struggling to pay for household expenses. And some homeowners could be eligible for as much as $80,000 in aid. So while certain protections like mortgage forbearance have run out in some states, there's still some available aid for property owners thanks to the Homeowner Assistance Fund. That fund is a good $10 billion available to pay for homeowners who are behind on their mortgages and other housing-related expenses. As was the case with the rental assistance funds, money from the Homeowner Assistance Fund will be given out at the state level, but eligible recipients will be in line for anywhere from $15,000 to $80,000. That money can cover expenses including mortgage payments, property tax bills, homeowners insurance fees, HOA fees, and a couple more things. To qualify for aid under the program, homeowners will need to show they experience financial hardships. So folks, this is definitely a good idea from President Biden to do more for the American people that are in need of 4 stimulus checks. If you guys agree, tell me in the comments down below. Stimulus checks are here, everybody, and get ready to receive them. So we have a ton of good news about the 4 stimulus payments. There are huge developments being made on the 4 stimulus package. The IRS has confirmed a possible new delivery date for the next round of stimulus. So with tax filing season already underway, many tax experts are warning taxpayers to brace for another year of delays and complications. Underscoring the importance of filing early and preparing your information, the IRS started accepting 2021 tax returns on January 24th, more than 2 weeks earlier than the start of last year's filing date. Most taxpayers have until April 18th to file, but the IRS has a long road ahead of it. Stimulus checks and scaled-up child tax credit payments are creating extra work for the IRS. So, in many areas, the IRS is unable to deliver the amount of service and enforcement that the tax system needs. So folks, in 2022, the new year of this year's tax filing season all comes down to the crisis. The federal government tasked the IRS with delivering most of the direct aid approved for 2021 in President Biden's American Rescue Plan. According to the IRS commissioner, they said they urge extra attention to those who received an economic impact payment or an advanced child tax credit last year. And people should make sure that they report the correct amount on their tax return to avoid delays. Plus, those features can cause delays because they leave more room in error, either because the IRS didn't tally American stimulus totals correctly or because taxpayers made a math error. So when a tax return doesn't match up with IRS records, it's placed at the agency's paper processing backlog, a logjam that's been increasingly harder to work through amid hiring and training challenges. That means taxpayers are likely to encounter delays if they make a mistake when they file, or even if they submit in a return that's an error-free return. Taxpayers who also wait up until the last minute risk accumulating a significant wait time. According to tax experts, getting started early and filing electronically are the 2 most important things when you're trying to get a stimulus check and extra money from the IRS. And if you are a U.S. household with dependent children, you will also want to pay careful attention when submitting your tax return this season, because it's your main opportunity to reconcile any missing child tax credit payments,